I was expecting a live fight with the Monolithians.
Someone's decided to save us some ammo. And I don't like this.
Let's split up for now. I'll set the explosives at the teleport to cover your back. You go on. I'll catch up.
Avoid any unnecessary risks. I'll be in touch.
I already know who it is. It's not really a surprise. There's only one faction left. It's pretty obvious who it is.
Something's wrong.
I'm moving to cover, brothers. Keep the enemy pinned.
Fucking... These stupid fucking, like, physics slowing things are really pissing me off. Completely unnecessary addition to this fight. Holy shit, that's a lot of canned food. They really wanted to make sure you didn't go hungry during this, huh? That's a Gauss rifle.
Scar.
Poor Scar. I knew him, Skip. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. And now, how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Oh. Where be your jibes now? Your gambles? Your verses? Prithee, Skiff, tell me one thing. Do you think the representative looked of this fashion in the earth?
I guess.
And smelt so, huh? What a miserable end, Skiff. The representative dies. The representative is buried. The representative turns to dust. The dust to soil, the soil to clay. And who's to say that clay won't end up a stopper for a rusty rain barrel? Just to think, once he determined the destinies of all these stalkers. So this is why, in our own dreams, sometimes we see their memories. Yes, but the representative is alive. Yeah. Only the enemy claims there is no life after death. Ah. If that is the case, then there is no shining zone. And if there is no shining zone, then all these lives were wasted in vain, Skip. No, we know it's not true. Oh. I've lost my head for this cause, along with all in it.
You know, you could have just shot him right then and there, right? You know? You're... Piece of work, Skiff. Oh. Oh, that's cool. He has a Gauss gun. That's great. Oh, this is gonna be annoying as fuck. shut up.
Shining zone now, Scar.
Just gonna make sure he's dead. Dude survived way worse.
I'm done with the teleport. It's now full of surprises. What's up? Why did you go radio silent?
I ran into Scar. He's dead now.
I guess it's goodbye then. Well, I won't cry. Get down to the workshop. I'll be waiting for you near the trucks. We're almost there.
It's always something with these trucks. Every single time. X7 is below. But the elevator won't budge. We need to restart it. I tried. Turns out Granite was there. I tried to get close, but they cut me off. My bad. I let my guard down too early. Now you'll go.
What's Granite?
Korshunov's rebel. A special operations unit. They're regarding X7 even before the zone was around. And then, thanks to sea consciousness, they became the first of the monolith. Korshunov was lucky to get away. He thought they were all gone. But here they are. Back on duty after the signal. Here, you'll need this card to get in. Deggy took it off the colonel back at the Foundation. Came in handy. When you get off the elevator, it's the door to your right.
Seriously? What the fuck was that? Dude, why is the Gauss Rifle so shit? Oh, cool. They get like temporary shields and shit. That's cool. That's great. That's you know, that's one of the reasons I like the Borer, is because it has that ability. So fucking stupid. What's the point of reduced bleeding on medkits if it's not going to do anything? You might as well just not even have it on there. Dude, I think you've really fucked up on your balancing. When the Gauss gun can't even one-shot things, that's bad. This thing's supposed to be like an absolute powerhouse. It's supposed to one-shot things even without a headshot, and it's just not doing it. That's not really what I wanted you to do, game. Definitely. Excuse me? It's like they saw the ending of Shadow Chernobyl and went, hey, how do we make this worse? See, I think you really wanted me to jump down into that hole. The problem is, I really don't want to. Oh, cool. No, you're just gonna kill me. Good. Woo! I so love this ending. It reminds me of Shadow Chernobyl, which was also kind of a shitty ending. This is so fucking stupid. What do you want me to do? Like, the only thing I can think of is to bolt and immediately run under those guys, which is, fucking stupid.
Target acquired. Execute.
What the fuck is this, dude? This is stupid. This is so fucking dumb. Every time they make a fucking finale for these games, they always go way overboard and make it too fucking hard.
Time to engage.
What do you want me to do? There's two fucking Gauss assholes up on the upper areas. They have pretty much total vision of you during this entire thing. And there's the fucking guys on the ground that are just pelting you. What do you want me to do? If it was just the one Gauss asshole, this would be fine. There's two of them up there. I'm not going down there. That's a death trap. I don't know why you would fucking make an arena this obscenely difficult. And then you make this thing where it's like, oh, the player can't save. They can't save in the middle of combat. Isn't that so fucking cute? You know, it's not like the original... It's not like the original games were pretty much balanced by the fact that you could just save mid-fight or anything. No, no, that's not. We're gonna take that away from the player. We're gonna make them fucking suffer. This is fucking stupid. This is so fucking dumb. Just gonna fucking bolt. I can't deal with the fucking assholes on the fucking second level. There's still two of them up there, meaning most likely I either didn't kill that guy or it spawned a third one. Fucking go. Fuck off.
All good, Skiff. It's working. See you at X7. She's waiting for us.
Game can't be saved right now. Woo. Oh, what? What? I thought the game couldn't be saved right now. Whoa. You know, fucking arbitrary bullshit. God.
Fallen cargo returns to the machine.
Seems that this is the only way to unveil the zone's real secret. The one you've been trying to figure out. Come. Hope the old man wasn't lying this time. You. Slide that thing back up. On my signal. Push it.
Hello, Skiff. It's the Dark One.
Attention! Crossing strictly prohibited.
I will protect her. Always.
So yeah, I'm here to record this after the fact because I kind of needed to get my thoughts in order. And also maybe cool down a bit, because that last stretch is ridiculously rough. And I needed to cool down a bit and kind of go back with a level head and think this through. Okay. The good thing is I can record over this because there is no credits music that plays. I don't know what happened. I'm sure there's supposed to be. It bugged out or something if there is, but there's no credits music here. So I can kind of just put whatever I want here. We'll see what comes up. So yeah, my opinion of this game is very, I don't want to say quite mixed. I think I'm leaning more toward positive than I am negative, but it's like right in that mixed to positive range, right? It's really complicating, like really complicated. So yeah, let's just list some things off. I'm gonna start off with the soundtrack because, you know, it's no Moose soundtrack, it's no Alexei Omelchuk soundtrack because, you know, Moose did the music for Shadow Chernobyl. Alexei Omelchuk did most of the music for Clear Sky and then all of the music for Call of Pripyat. It's not quite that, but it is still really good in its own right. It's kind of its own flavor of soundtrack, and I kind of appreciate it. So I think, in my opinion, I think the soundtrack is probably the best part, like the most consistently best part of the game. So I'm getting that out the way first. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. Oh yeah, and you know, I guess related to the soundtrack, I'm also going to mention the sound design itself. I thought the sound design was also really good. I didn't, there was like one like quirk with it occasionally, which was sometimes the rain in the music would cut out. I don't know what that was about, but I'm sure that's just a bug. In general, though, I thought the sound design was quite good. I thought weapons sounded really meaty, really, you know, really good. I thought the mutants sounded really good. I just, you know, and the anomalies and the environmental sounds, like the ambient noises you'd hear just walking around the zone or going into like caves or underground things, it sounded great. I think it was one of the more consistently good parts of the game. Okay, so after the soundtrack, the next thing I want to talk about, I guess, are like the guns. I thought the guns, you know, I thought they felt good to use. I think really my only thing with the guns is I couldn't really figure out if the guns themselves had some weird quirk going on that made them kind of difficult to land hits with, or if it was just me. I can't really tell, but it felt like, to me at least, I was pretty dead on with a few of my shots and it just wasn't registering. But the guns themselves, they felt good to use. Next up, I guess I'm going to talk about the visuals. You know, even on low, this game looks really good. So I'll give it credit there. It doesn't really run the best, but it does look really damn good, and I figure if they optimize it over time, it'll probably run better, so hey, maybe. But the main thing I do think they could maybe you know, tweak a little bit, the lighting, right? The lighting for the most part was fine, but there was like this weird thing going on with the lighting. It's like a shimmer effect. I don't know what the deal with that was. Quite often, it was distracting. I have a screenshot. I'm gonna put it up from an off-screen thing. I have a screenshot of like a spotlight that is as bright as the fucking sun, right? and I don't know why it was doing that. The lighting is just really, really finicky, it seems, and just does shit like that. And I don't, you know, visually, game looks fine. The lighting, again, could have used some work, I think. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the map, right? I thought the map itself was fine. I thought it was fine. And I'm of two mindsets with this, right? The overall of the map was good. It was interesting. It was pretty well populated with landmarks. There was a lot of stuff you could do. I actually skipped over quite a bit when I was editing because there's just a lot of areas that you can visit. And you can pick up lore, and that's kind of it. But, you know, it's world building. I get it. The second mind, though, is when you take into consideration the previous games, suddenly things get really weird, and I don't know how I feel about that, especially in regard to Clear Sky. You know, Shadow Chernobyl is kind of got its own oddity, like Strelok going from what is effectively army warehouses, which is like, I mean, honestly, army warehouses and the Brain Scorcher, I think, are kind of fine relative to each other, but then suddenly he has to make like a mad dash from the Brain Scorcher to Pripyat, and that gets kind of weird because in this new map he has to pass through Yaniv and Jupiter. Clear Sky is also really weird about it. Clear Sky, like, you know, Scar starts off on the very lower right corner of the map, right? And then he has to go to the cordon, which is like all the way in the center, basically. Like all the way in the lower center. And then he goes to the garbage, which is... But the weird thing to me is he has to get to Limansk. The bridge is over, you know, it's over on the left. And then he has to somehow take the bridge over to Limansk. And then he has to go from Limansk to the dead hospital, which isn't even shown. As far as I'm aware, it's not even shown in this game. But he has to take that route to the power plant, which is all the way in the center again. This game is an absolute nightmare in terms of continuity. But if you take this as... like, my thinking is they potentially, maybe, wanted to soft reboot the series. That's what I was thinking. But I'm not too sure. It's just when you take into consideration the previous games, the map gets really, really funky. But as a standalone map, it's really good. I can't really talk about the artifact balancing, as I basically either found artifacts that I couldn't use at the time, or I found artifacts that were basically maximum everything. So I can't really comment on the balancing of the artifacts, but what I will say is I find it very weird that the artifacts were not in a tier system, so that they were locked behind detectors. That seemed really odd. I found a compass with an echo detector, and that should be like a tier 3 artifact, only found with like a Velis or something. It just seems weird that the artifact detectors, it just seems weird that they don't actually lock you into tiers. And I feel like that in its own right is kind of game breaking, as it kind of becomes this weird thing of RNG. And if you get a very lucky roll early on, it just kind of breaks the game, right? So I don't like I think the artifacts might have been fine. I think the detectors maybe could have used like a rework. That's just my take. Yeah, I thought the story was fine. I don't know. Maybe it's because I sided with Strelok, but I thought the story itself was like fine. I thought it had some interesting twists on old characters. The ending that I got, I think, it makes complete sense from Strelok's perspective, and people are gonna think, oh, it's completely out of character for Strelok to do that, and I'm like, I don't think it is. I think it's completely in character for him to be sick of people messing with the zone and wanting to close it off. I think that's completely in character for him, and something tells me that was one of the better endings I could have gotten. Now, what I will say with the story is I did find the difficulty spikes to be kind of egregious. there's multiple points in this game's story where suddenly the difficulty just decides to just spike into the stratosphere and then immediately drop back down. It just didn't feel right. Which, you know, regarding that, I will say another thing too, the boss fights. I want to say Korshunov and S.T.A.L.K.E.R were fine. I thought they were good boss fights. You know, it took a bit of finagling to try to figure out exactly how they worked, but once I figured it out, hey, the boss fight that I think was absolute and utter gutter trash was Faust. I still hate that boss fight. Just constantly spawning enemies to try to force you out of cover, and then the controller attack that Faust has, it's annoying as fuck. I mean, you can bum rush it, sure, but it's just annoying as fuck that the fucking, like, infinite enemy spawning and shit. The fact that there's just not even, like, a proper cooldown on that, I feel like just absolutely ruins that boss fight. So yeah, Faust was my least favorite boss fight. I think if I had to pick a favorite, once I figured out how it worked, I think it might have been S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I thought S.T.A.L.K.E.R had a pretty interesting boss fight that kind of interestingly ties into some stuff Strelok said about C-consciousness agents. I like that they brought that back at the end of the game and decided to use it for a boss fight. Like, yeah, really the two main issues that I had with the game, if I'm being completely honest. The main two issues that I had, the scripted spawns started to get on my nerves, especially toward the back half of the game, where it was just constantly spawning bloodsuckers and other dumb shit. It just got on my nerves. I would go into an area, I would explore a little bit, and then suddenly mutants or enemies would spawn in an area that I had already previously checked. It made it feel really artificial every time it happened. It's an awful system, and I'm hoping whenever they get A-Life 2.0 fully working, because, you know, big shock, it was not working. I'm hoping when they get that working, they just kind of gut whatever system is spawning these things in at close proximity, because it's just not fun. It's just not fun. As for general complaints with the mutants, most of them just felt overly tanky, but, you know, you can mod that and nerf that. You know, you can mod that out, basically. You can nerf their health down with mods. So I would prefer if I didn't have to do that, but I'm not going to say much about that. However, what I will say is there was two mutants, but I'm going to talk about one right now because the second one kind of goes in line with something that I want from the game that I don't think will end up happening. But I'm going to talk about the Psydog first. The Psydog in this game is fucking outrageous. I hate this game's Psydog with a passion. I don't understand how you think it's fair that a mutant just looks at the player and immediately spawns 7 dogs and then continually does that. I don't understand the logic behind why you think that's fair, right? I'm saying now, I want that nerfed. Whether it happens, hey, I don't know. But I think the Psydog is really overpowered, and I think the way that it spawns in the Phantoms should be addressed. Just my take. Oh yeah, actually, I'm gonna go on another tangent here. The psi damage mechanic is fucking trash. I thought the psi damage mechanic was trash, because I would constantly enter areas by accident because you can't see psi emissions in this. I would enter areas that had high, like, psi radiation levels, as the game calls it, and rather than doing the sensible thing, which is warn the player, half the time, it would just spawn enemies right behind you. It took me a good while to figure out what the fuck was going on with that, and it was just because the mechanic of spawning enemies directly behind the player while they're taking psi damage, the moment that it starts happening, is not a fun gameplay mechanic. I think there should be a bit more of a buffer between when you start taking psi damage and when the game decides to do a dice roll to spawn an enemy. Like, yeah, that's the big thing, right? I'm not asking for it to go away because I think it's an interesting idea. I just think the way that they implemented it is quite blunt shit. So, yeah, like I said, I just want like a buffer between when the player takes psi damage and when it decides it wants to do the dice roll to spawn an enemy. That's all I want. That's it. Whether that happens, probably not, but I know that it would make the controller much easier to deal with, which is why I'm not complaining about the controller, because it's not the controller's fault that the psi damage is bullshit. It's the psi damage's fault that the psi damage is bullshit, not the controller. The controller, you know, he's fine. If it wasn't for that mechanic that just spawns enemies in, the controller's like fine. Okay, so one more thing I do want to interject with. This started off as a list of 2, then it became a list of 3, now it's a list of 4, with this being the third thing I want to talk about. I hate this game's day-night cycle. I hate it. It's way too fucking fast. It's way too fast. I would start a journey at like 5 in the morning. In game time, I would blink, and then the moment I opened my eyes, it would immediately become nighttime again. It's insane how fast this game's day-night cycle is, and I really, really wish they would slow it down. Even if it's just a little bit. Let me enjoy a bit of daylight, and let me enjoy a bit of nighttime. Like just let me, just slow it down, just a bit. That's all I'm asking for. Just slow down the day-night cycle. And I guess for the final thing I wanted to bring up, I don't think it'd happen, and you know, I don't think something like this should be enabled by default, but I will say, I really hate that you cannot reload guns while sprinting, and I really hate that you cannot save mid-combat. Being able to, you know, not being able to save mid-combat completely invalidates quick saving. Because half the time when you're using quick saving, you're using it as a strategic save point in the middle of combat. When you take that away, you might as well have just taken away the quick save function entirely. So, I would like to see that removed from the save function. I would love to be able to save mid-combat, because so much frustration could have potentially been avoided if you could do that, right? Especially like firefights. And then the other one is reloading while sprinting. As I said, I think the ability to reload while sprinting should be a function it should be a function within the settings that you can enable or disable. It should be disabled by default, but you should be allowed to enable something like that, because it would balance out quite a few of the mutant fights, because you'd be able to actually dodge shit and have like an actually decent gameplay loop with the mutants, particularly the Chimera. I already talked about this in a rant, but part of the reason that I feel like the Chimera was balanced in Call of Pripyat and, you know, Anomaly was the fact that you could reload your guns while sprinting, because you could unload on a Chimera and then you could sprint around the Chimera, dodging its leaps while frantically reloading your gun. I think that's a good gameplay loop. Clearly they didn't think that, but I thought it was, and if you had that function, it would balance out the Chimera immediately. The only reason I had the Chimera so nerfed on health was because I basically needed to just mag dump the fucker. And not being able to reload while sprinting kind of makes that infinitely harder to do, especially in areas where the Chimera is like out in the open. It just sucks. But yeah, I'm just gonna let the credits play out. Whatever's left of the credits at this point. There's not really much else to talk about. Like I said, I think this game has good points, but I do also think this game has a lot of frustrating shit in it at the moment. Maybe I'll revisit it down the line. I do know that I technically probably should get the other ending that I missed out on, because I still have that save. And I'm pretty sure keeping the doctor alive does unlock a separate ending. So I might end up looking into that. We'll see. Otherwise, if I do come back to this, it'll be whenever the game is fully patched, and I'll probably look into doing a ward ending. Because as much as I hate the ward, I do think they could potentially have one of the better endings. I don't know. I definitely know I wouldn't go the Spark route because Scar is insane, and I feel like the ward, Strelok, and whatever Skiff's ending would end up being, I feel like those three would be infinitely better than going the Spark route. Man, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna let the credits play out. That's it. Yeah. Bye.